Welcome to Raw Machines, a journey into some of the most remarkable mechanical processes around the world. Today we follow Josef Schneider to Maisberg, a small village in the quiet Eifel region, where a water-powered sawmill still operates much as it did centuries ago. This is not merely the story of a machine, but of an enduring relationship between human skill, natural forces, and pure mechanical engineering. Let us begin. Some people never leave the place where they were born, not because they cannot go elsewhere, but because their entire lives are anchored to something that remains. Josef Schneider was born in 1923, and nearly his entire life unfolded within the Schneider Sawmill, a modest timber structure on the outskirts of Maisberg until 1968. Maisberg is a small village of only a few hundred residents, set in the quiet Eifel region. Its distance from modern life has allowed many traditional technical structures to survive as part of everyday use. The Schneider Sawmill stands at the heart of the village as a functioning technical heritage site. The structure remains largely intact, still operating according to its original mechanism, and is among the very few historic water-powered sawmills that remain practically usable. When secondary school groups visit, they encounter not merely an old structure, but a living testimony to the passage of time.
Für wen von euch wird das heute der erste Besuch einer Schneidemühle sein? Oh, das ist überraschend. Gab es in euren Heimatdörfern keine Mühlen? Bitte? Ja. In Pützborn auch?
Ja.
Was erinnert denn noch in Pützborn an eine Mühle?
Alte Mühlgraben.
Ah ja, wo ist der denn? Da, parallel zum Pützbach wohl.
Parallel zum Bach, ja.
Wo verläuft der?
Ja, der Bach, der ist gestaut zwischen Pützborn und Neunkirchen. Und von da ab läuft dann der Mühlgraben bis zur Bundesstraße.
Schönen guten Morgen.
Schön, dass Sie uns die Führung machen.
Ja, auch herzlich willkommen.
Wenn ihr zusammen seid, könnt ihr auch den Herrn Schneider begrüßen.
Ja, alles einen schönen guten Morgen. Ne? Morgen.
Der Schneider ist der Besitzer der Mühle.
Each week, Josef Schneider returns to the mill to maintain the timber structure, recondition the saw blades, and receive visitors.
Ja, es handelt sich ja um eine ganz alte Mühle. Ne?
Ja.
So, und jetzt kommen Sie bitte mit, sehen wir uns zuerst den Mühlgraben an. Dieses Rad war in 8 Teile zerlegt und wurde dann hier an Ort und Stelle wieder zusammengebaut.
The operation of the sawmill begins with the regulation of the water flow. In front of the structure, a spillway channels excess water away from the system, ensuring a stable supply to the water wheel. The sluice gate is operated by a rope pull mechanism, From the saw frame, the operator can directly control the volume of water entering the system. From there, the water flows along a gently sloped head race, passing beneath the working floor and saw platform before pouring directly into the buckets of the water wheel. The sawmill's breast-shot water wheel weighs approximately 3.5 tons. Water from the elevated head race enters the buckets, setting the wheel in slow, steady rotation at a maximum speed of about 10 revolutions per minute. Each revolution of the wheel produces 18 strokes of the saw blade, corresponding to roughly 180 vertical motions per minute under optimal conditions. The wheel's efficiency is estimated at around 80%. According to Joseph Schneider's calculations, with well-maintained bearings and mechanisms, actual efficiency can reach up to 95%, delivering an output of approximately 15 horsepower. The rotational motion of the water wheel is transmitted into the sawmill's drive system. The wheel is connected to the main shaft, which drives a large gear wheel approximately 3 meters in diameter, then through a smaller pinion and a transmission shaft to the belt pulley on the right, supplying mechanical power to the sawing system. From the driven pulley, motion is transmitted through a system of flat belts, which directly power the saw assembly. Transmission efficiency depends on the balance of the wooden pulleys and the condition of the bearings. A return belt is used to pull the log carriage back out of the saw frame. Directly beneath the frame, a clutch mechanism allows the operator to shift the belt from an idler pulley to a drive pulley, enabling controlled engagement and disengagement of the transmission. From the belt drive and clutch, the rotary motion is transmitted to the saw shaft. Connecting rods mounted on the crank wheels at both ends of the shaft convert this rotation into the vertical reciprocating motion of the saw frame, producing the characteristic working rhythm of a water-powered sawmill. Once the saw frame is running steadily, the log feed mechanism is engaged. A steel cable running over a winding drum advances the log carriage step by step toward the saw blade, synchronized with the downward stroke of the saw. During operation, the connecting rods and moving components are shielded on both sides of the saw frame for safety. The control mechanisms are routed up to the working platform, allowing the operator to directly monitor and regulate the sawing process. The Meisberg sawmill clearly illustrates the technological evolution of traditional water-powered sawing. When Joseph Schneider's father took over the mill in 1922, the system still operated with a single connecting rod and a single saw blade. Later, a double connecting rod saw frame, based on designs once used in the sawmills of Himmerod Abbey, was installed, and Josef Schneider added a second blade. These modifications followed a broader European trend toward multi-blade sawing systems that emerged in the late 16th century, significantly improving operational efficiency. Inside the mill, Josef Schneider can place two small logs side by side on the log carriage and saw them simultaneously using a single saw frame, or process a single large log with a diameter of up to approximately 1 meter. Each cutting pass takes an average of 10 minutes. With hardwoods such as oak, the duration increases due to higher cutting resistance and the reduced feed rate required for stable operation. After each pass, the carriage is drawn back by a steel cable and runs along its guide rails, Strassenbäume. To prepare for the next cut, the log is shifted forward by a fixed increment corresponding to the desired board thickness. Positioning is achieved using two reference nails, one driven into the log, the other into the carriage, allowing precise adjustment without graduated measuring tools. Board thickness is controlled by wooden gauge sticks placed directly against the saw blade fixed in the frame. Each gauge corresponds to a standard dimension, enabling rapid setup and consistent repetition of successive cuts. This method exemplifies the traditional manual measuring practice of water-powered sawmills, simple, durable, and sufficiently precise for continuous production. A ratchet and pawl mechanism controls the forward and return motion of the log carriage during sawing. As the carriage advances toward the saw blade, the cable winch rotates through a gear train. A drive pole engages the ratchet wheel, converting continuous rotary motion into incremental forward steps, synchronized with the downward stroke of the saw frame. To stop the mill, Josef Schneider shuts off the water supply, bringing the water wheel to a halt. He then disengages the drive pole and shifts the floor lever to idle, disconnecting the feed mechanism. When restarting, the water is released and the wheel resumes rotation. Motion is transmitted through the drive system and saw frame, and only once the system runs steadily is the feed mechanism re-engaged, ensuring safe and precise operation. In the 19th century, water-powered sawmills were densely distributed along the Rhine region, particularly in the Trier Administrative District, where as many as 98 sawmills were recorded in 1846. Technically, most mills operated in either the German or Dutch configuration. Circular saws, though introduced in the early 19th century, accounted for only about 10%, indicating the continued dominance of traditional sawing systems. In rural regions such as the Dawn district, water-powered sawmills remain the primary source of mechanical power well into the 20th century. Steam-driven mills, although introduced in the mid-19th century, proved ill-suited to local conditions. The mill operator was a fully skilled craftsman, directly overseeing both the sawing process and system maintenance. Drive belts required regular tensioning. Worn or dislodged wooden gear teeth were shaped and replaced by hand. In dry weather, shrinking timber could cause teeth to loosen from the gear wheels, producing vibration and noise, clear signals for immediate intervention. At the end of a cut, if a board remained attached at one end, Josef Schneider would split it free with an axe to complete the sawing process. The Meisburg sawmill is well preserved through long-term heritage restoration. Josef and Josephine Schneider are supported by the State Heritage Authority in Mainz, the district administration, and the Dawn Municipal Association in maintaining this technical monument. The components subject to the greatest wear are the wooden drive gear teeth and the frame saw blade. After approximately 12 to 15 cuts, the blade must be resharpened using a specialized rounded edge file to restore cutting performance. Today, the saw teeth are alternately set left and right to stabilize the cut. Previously, Josef Schneider employed an intermediate tooth setting closer to the blade's center line, a method that improved sawdust clearance under traditional operating conditions. From the sawmill, timber guide beams extend toward the log yard, where wood is primarily stored. Josef Schneider learned the craft through family tradition by observing and assisting his father. Before the Second World War, he worked in the mill while still in school. After the war, Josef took over operations, running the mill with around 12 workers until the mid-1960s. Thereafter, it was maintained largely by his own labor, with the support of his wife. During summer droughts, reduced water flow forced the mill to temporarily retain water in order to keep operating. When urgent orders arose, the father and his sons, even while still attending school, worked through the night until the head race ran dry. In winter, ice forming on the water wheel slowed its rotation and brought production to a halt. This dependence on hydrological conditions and weather was both the mill's energy advantage and its greatest operational challenge. Today, as interest in sustainable energy returns, water power is once again gaining attention. Many historic water mills have been restored for small-scale electricity generation, in balance with the surrounding environment. Water-powered sawmills, however, were always less common and have gradually disappeared over time. For this reason, the Meisberg sawmill holds particular significance, a rare working site that shows how earlier generations used flowing water to saw timber. Such water wheels once formed the foundation of many traditional crafts, including ironworking. At first glance, the water-powered sawmill in Maisberg appears to be a modest wooden structure tucked away in the rural landscape of the Eifel region. Yet a closer look at its construction and operational history reveals a complete technical ecosystem, one in which human skill, natural forces, and machinery exist in mutual dependence. Every wooden gear, every belt, every vertical stroke of the saw frame is the result of centuries of accumulated craft knowledge, shaped through practical labor rather than theoretical design. The life of Josef Schneider forms the thread that runs through this story. He was not merely the operator of the mill, but its custodian. Figures of efficiency or output gain meaning only when bound to a person who understands the limits of materials, listens to the sound of the machinery, and senses the subtle seasonal changes in the flow of water. The Maisberg sawmill represents an approach to engineering fundamentally different from modern industrial thinking. Instead of maximizing speed and output, the entire system was designed for stable operation, precise control, and adaptation to natural conditions. The slow rotation of the water wheel is not a weakness, but the basis for accuracy, reduced wear, and long mechanical life. In a broader historical context, the Maisberg sawmill stands as a representative of the dense network of water-powered sawmills that once lined the Rhine region. These mills supplied building materials and formed a vital foundation of rural economies and traditional crafts. As industrialization replaced water power, most of these sites disappeared, leaving Maisberg as a rare living witness to the history of mechanical technology. Today, as interest in sustainable forms of energy returns, the water-powered sawmill reminds us that renewable energy is not a modern invention, but rediscovered knowledge. Here, water is regulated only as much as labor requires, maintaining balance with the surrounding environment. Preserving the Maisberg sawmill therefore means more than conserving an old structure. It is the preservation of a way of thinking, a culture of work, and a shared technical memory. As long as the water wheel continues to turn, slowly and steadily, it tells the story of a time when technology, nature, and human experience were closely bound together, and when lasting value lay not in speed, but in endurance and understanding passed down through generations. Thank you for watching to the end of this story. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to discover more remarkable stories. This is Raw Machines. Until next time. Next.